From the mists of antiquity and golden sands come whispers of the beginning. The ancient Egyptians asked fundamental questions. Where did the world come from? Their answers, found in stories and inscriptions, are their creation myths. These myths explain the origins of the cosmos, gods, and humanity. These are some of the oldest religious thoughts appearing in the pyramid texts. They tell of a time before time, of watery chaos. From this void, life emerged. Understanding these stories is a window into the soul of ancient Egypt, revealing their place in the universe. The Nile's flooding and the sun shaped these narratives. The fertile silt became a metaphor for creation. There wasn't one creation story, but unique traditions. Each myth offers a different perspective. This diversity shows a culture grappling with the mysteries of existence. Despite regional differences, Egyptian creation myths share powerful common threads. Central to almost every version is Nu, a boundless, dark, inert ocean. This watery abyss contained the potential for all life. From this cosmic ocean, the primordial mound appeared. Known as the benben, it was the first piece of land, a sacred space for creative forces. The first sunrise followed. The sun, a symbol of life, was born. In other traditions, the sun emerges from a divine lotus flower. Another image is that of a cosmic egg, from which the sun god hatches. This transformative moment was known as Zep-Tepi, the first time when order was established out of chaos. It was the blueprint for all creation. It was the ultimate source of Ma'at, order, truth and justice, and the cornerstone of their civilization. Zep-Tepi, the first time, is fundamental to understanding the Egyptian worldview. It was a time of unparalleled perfection when the gods walked the earth. Every important action was intended to reconnect with the power of Zep-Tepi, to renew the world and affirm cosmic order, pushing back chaos. Myths established divine hierarchies and justified kingship, portraying the pharaoh as a successor to the gods. This influenced Egyptian art and architecture. Formal styles captured the timeless perfection of creation. Art maintained cosmic balance, manifesting eternal principles. Each creation myth elaborates on Zep-Tepi, the triumph of order over chaos. These myths provided meaning and security in an unpredictable universe. Before the gods, before the sky, and before the earth itself, there was only Nu. Imagine an endless expanse of dark, churning water stretching into an infinite abyss. This was the Egyptian vision of the ultimate beginning, a state of absolute chaos, yet containing the seeds of everything that would ever exist. It was a silent, motionless ocean of nothingness, the raw, untamed essence of the universe before creation. This powerful image of primordial water formed the universal starting point for every Egyptian creation story. The concept of Nu was likely born from the Egyptians' direct experience with the annual inundation of the Nile River, which mirrored the description of Nu. It was the womb of the cosmos, a place of immense power, simply the state of being before being had a name or a form. Within this boundless sea of potential, Nu represented the substance from which creation would spring. It was a universe asleep, waiting for a spark to awaken it. A state of perfect equilibrium that would eventually be disturbed, triggering the birth of the world. This belief in a watery origin is a testament to the profound connection the ancient Egyptians had with the Nile, the source of all life. This universal ocean of Nu provides the foundational stage upon which all the different dramas of creation would play out. The story always begins here, in the dark, silent and infinite waters, waiting for the first stirrings of consciousness. From the endless waters, the first act of creation was the emergence of solid ground. A single mound of earth broke the surface, a lone island in a sea of chaos. This was the benben, the primordial mound, a symbol of hope. Its shape, often pyramidal, was immortalized in the Great Pyramids. The benben mound was drawn from the Egyptian landscape. As the Nile receded, mounds of earth reappeared. It was the first piece of the world, the sacred stage upon which creation would unfold. A sacred stone, also called the benben, was worshipped in Heliopolis, a direct link to creation. The emergence of the benben represents a shift, introducing geography into a featureless existence and laying the groundwork for creation. Upon the sacred benben mound, the birth of the sun occurred. As the first rays of light pierced the darkness, the universe was transformed. Light, warmth, and energy flooded the world. This first dawn represented the awakening of consciousness and the beginning of time itself. The sun was the most powerful force, and its daily cycle was a constant reenactment of creation. He was commonly associated with Ra, the great sun god. This first sunrise banished chaos and established the life-giving order of the world. The Egyptians understood the sun's warmth was essential for life. The birth of the sun established the fundamental rhythm of existence. This predictable pattern was a cornerstone of Ma'at, the cosmic principle of order. The sun's journey was a promise that order would always prevail over chaos. Some Egyptian traditions explain the sun god's birth through the myth of the cosmic egg. A great egg, sometimes laid by a celestial goose, rests upon the primordial mound. From it the sun god hatches, bringing light to the world. Another image of creation is the sacred blue lotus flower. A giant lotus emerges from the primordial waters. As light appears, the petals open to reveal the young sun god. Both the cosmic egg and lotus emphasize the miraculous nature of creation. They are the sacred containers from which light and life sprang forth. But in the ancient city of Amun, later known as Hermopolis, a unique creation myth developed. The Hermopolitan tradition envisioned creation as the result of the interaction between a group of 8 primordial deities known as the Ogdoad. This collective represented the fundamental elements of the pre-creation world, the chaos of Nu. This myth is about an inevitable cosmic event that led to the birth of the ordered world. The city of Hermopolis held these deities in the highest esteem. The priests of Hermopolis contemplated the nature of the universe before the first dawn. They gave these energies names and forms, creating 4 male-female pairs. These 8 gods were not creators, they were the creation in its potential state. The focus was on this delicate state of pre-existence, exploring the mystery of origins. It suggests that the world was formed by the convergence of multiple elemental forces. The Ogdoad represents the perfect symmetry within the chaos. The Ogdoad of Hermopolis consisted of 4 pairs of gods and goddesses who embodied the chaos of the primordial waters. The first pair was Nu and Naunet, who personified the formless primordial water itself. The second pair, Hur and Hauhet, represented infinity. Darkness was represented by Kek and Kauket. Finally, Amun and Amone personified hiddenness. This suggests that the power of creation itself was hidden within the primordial chaos. The 8 deities of the Ogdoad were the active agents within the primeval waters. The males were depicted with the heads of frogs. The females were shown with the heads of snakes. For ages, these 8 beings existed in a state of balanced inertia within the dark waters. They were the chaos, and for a time that chaos was stable. But this state of equilibrium was not destined to last forever. The Hermopolitan texts describe the moment of creation as a sudden and violent upheaval. The 8 primordial gods came together in a final climactic union. This convergence was a cataclysmic event that shattered the stillness of the primordial ocean. The combined energy of these 8 forces created an immense eruption. From this violent eruption, the first solid land, the sacred benben mound, was thrust upwards, from which the sun god Ra hatches, bringing light and life to the world for the very first time. In Ionu, which the Greeks called Heliopolis, the city of the sun, a profoundly influential creation story took center stage. This myth places a single powerful deity at the heart of creation, Atum, the All-Lord. Long before the world existed, there was only the dark, endless watery chaos of Nu. Atum existed as a potential being within it, containing within himself the entirety of the universe that was yet to be. The Heliopolitan myth presents a narrative of self-generation and deliberate creation. He is the ultimate source from which all else would flow. Through his own power, he created the first piece of land, the sacred benben mound. The story of Atum is a story of cosmic loneliness and the divine impulse to create companionship. Every god, every human, every element of the natural world was ultimately a part of Atum. On the benben mound, Atum began creation. He created Shu, god of air, and Tefnut, goddess of moisture. They were essential to a habitable cosmos, representing the first forces of the universe. One story tells of Shu and Tefnut lost in the chaos of Nu. Atum sent his eye to find them, and upon their return, his tears of joy transformed into the first humans. Shu, god of air, and Tefnut, goddess of moisture, were born of Atum. They birthed Geb, the earth, and Nut, the sky, who were locked in a tight embrace. Shu separated them, creating space for the world. This iconic image shows Geb on the ground, Nut arched above, and Shu holding them apart. This separation allowed life to flourish, the sun to journey across the sky, and civilization to thrive. It was a victory of order over chaos, creating a stable cosmos. The creative process that began with Atum reached its final crucial stage with the children of Geb and Nut. Despite being separated by their father Shu, the earth god and sky goddess managed to have children of their own, completing the divine family that would govern the cosmos. These four deities were born at the very edge of creation and represented the fundamental forces of human society and religious belief. They were Osiris, the god of fertility, death and resurrection; Isis, the great mother goddess of magic and healing; Set, the powerful god of chaos, storms and the desert; and Memphis, the protective goddess associated with morning and the night. These four gods, together with their parents Geb and Nut, their grandparents Shu and Tefnut, and their great-grandfather Atum, formed the sacred group of 9 deities known as the Ennead of Heliopolis. The word Ennead is Greek for a group of 9. This divine family tree represented the totality of creation, from the initial solitary creator to the gods who would directly interact with the human world. The Ennead was the cornerstone of Heliopolitan theology, a perfectly structured pantheon that explained the origins and functions of the most important aspects of life, death, and the natural world. The relationships between these last 4 gods would form the basis for one of ancient Egypt's most important and enduring myths, the story of Osiris. His benevolent rule was cut short by the jealousy of his brother Set, who murdered him and usurped his throne. The tireless efforts of his wife Isis to find and magically resurrect him, and the subsequent battle between their son Horus and Set became the foundational story for Egyptian kingship and the promise of eternal life. This drama, born from the final generation of the Ennead, brought the themes of order, chaos, death and rebirth into the very fabric of the created world. Thus, the Heliopolitan creation myth provides a complete and elegant narrative, starting from a single creator and branching out to form a complex and interrelated family of gods. It explains the creation of the elements, the structure of the cosmos, the origin of humanity, and the divine basis for society and kingship. All of creation is presented as an emanation of Atum's own being, a great chain of existence flowing from a single divine source. This coherent and comprehensive vision made the Ennead of Heliopolis one of the most powerful and lasting theological concepts in the long history of ancient Egypt. In Memphis, the ancient capital, a sophisticated creation myth emerged. Centered on Ptah, the god of craftsmen, the Memphite tradition presents an intellectual vision of creation. The Shabaka stone details how Ptah brought the universe into existence through his mind and speech. Ptah, the master craftsman, was envisioned as the great architect of the universe. His creation was a deliberate process, like an artisan planning a masterpiece. Ptah is also associated with Tatyanen, the personification of the primordial mound. Ptah was not just the creator, he was the mound, embodying the substance of the first land. The Memphite priests incorporated the Heliopolitan story, positioning Ptah as the ultimate source. Atum and the other gods were creations of Ptah, the prime mover. The Memphite tradition explains Ptah created the world using his heart and tongue. The heart was the seat of intelligence and emotion. The tongue transformed the heart's intangible plans into tangible existence through speech. Ptah conceived everything within his heart, formulating a plan for the cosmos. He then used his tongue to bring it into being, speaking names into reality. This concept, creative logos, highlights speech's power to create. Ptah's creation was effortless, an act of pure intellect giving him power over all. The Memphite theology established Ptah as the fundamental substance and consciousness of the universe itself. This pantheistic view suggests that Ptah is not separate from his creation. He is immanent within it. Every god, every person, every rock, and every river was an extension of Ptah's own being. This made him the most encompassing of all the creator gods, a single, all-inclusive deity. The sun god Ra, for example, was the face of Ptah. He was the ultimate puppeteer, the grand architect whose thoughts gave rise to all other divine actors. Ultimately, the myth of Ptah represents a pinnacle of Egyptian theological thought. The theologians of Memphis created a powerful and elegant model of the cosmos. As the political and religious center of Egypt shifted to Thebes during the New Kingdom, a new theological emphasis emerged, centered on their local god, Amun. The Theban creation myth is a masterful synthesis, absorbing elements from older traditions. Amun is elevated to a supreme position, becoming the mysterious transcendent force behind all of creation. His name means the Hidden One, reflecting his nature as an unseen, unknowable deity. The Theban priests developed a complex theology that positioned Amun as the ultimate source of everything. He was the initial consciousness that stirred within the primordial waters of Nu. The grand temples built in his honor at Thebes, like the magnificent Karnak complex, were designed to reflect this mystery. Thebes itself was elevated to the status of the first land, the original primordial mound that rose from the waters. The priests of the city cemented its position as the religious capital, the earthly home of the hidden god. The Theban creation account differs significantly from other myths. Before anything existed, there was only the silent, dark expanse of the primordial waters. The first act of creation was of sound. Amun, existing as a hidden spirit, shattered the eternal silence with a single powerful cry. This sound, often described as the honk of a great goose, was the creative force. This initial act shares similarities with the Memphite tradition, but was a more primal burst of energy. This call caused the formation of the other primordial deities. This places Amun in an unparalleled position of authority as the ultimate initiator. Even in his most fundamental creative act, he remains unseen, a voice in the darkness. Amun, the true source, remained forever concealed, all born from the primordial resonance of his solitary world-creating call that first broke the silence. During the height of Thebes' power in the New Kingdom, the theology of Amun reached its zenith. To solidify his position as the supreme deity, the priests merged him with the most powerful and long-standing god in the pantheon, the sun god, Ra. This fusion created the composite deity Amun-Ra, a god who combined the mysterious, hidden power of Amun with the visible, life-giving majesty of Ra. As Amun-Ra, he was both the unseen creator and the radiant sustainer of the world, the hidden soul of the universe and its shining, visible face. This brilliant theological move united the two most powerful divine concepts in Egypt into one all-encompassing figure. As Amun-Ra, he became the undisputed king of the gods, a title that acknowledged his supremacy over the entire pantheon. The Theban myth effectively absorbed all other creation narratives into its own framework. The other gods were no longer viewed as independent beings, but as mere aspects or manifestations of Amun's multifaceted nature. Ptah was the form his body took as the primordial mound, Tatyanen. Atum and the Ennead were the forms he took to organize the world. The moon god Khonsu and the mother goddess Mut became his family in Thebes, but all gods were ultimately just different names for the various functions of the one, true hidden god, Amun. This synthesis created a powerful monotheistic tendency within the polytheistic structure of Egyptian religion. While many gods were worshipped, the educated priests and the pharaoh understood that, in reality, they were all just facets of the one great divine source, Amun. Hymns from this period praise him as the one who made all that is, the god whose forms are manifold, and the one from whom all gods came into being. This was a sophisticated theology that allowed for popular worship of many deities while maintaining a central, unifying doctrine of a single, ultimate creator whose true nature was beyond all human and even divine comprehension. The Theban creation myth, therefore, represents the culmination of centuries of Egyptian religious evolution. It created a comprehensive and flexible theology that could incorporate and subordinate all other local traditions under the authority of Thebes' patron god. By portraying Amun as the hidden, unknowable source who initiated creation with a sound and whose essence comprised all other gods, the Theban priests crafted a vision of a universe that was at once diverse and unified. It was a cosmos filled with a multitude of divine forces, all of whom were ultimately just masks for the one great mystery, the hidden god Amun. Ancient Egypt's creation myths weren't just stories, they were the foundation of kingship and society. The pharaoh was seen as the living Horus, inheriting divine authority from the gods, especially through the mythic succession from Atum to Osiris to Horus. His rule was a cosmic duty to uphold Ma'at, order, truth and justice against chaos, just as Horus defeated Set. The king's coronation was a reenactment of creation, linking the present to Zep-Tepi the first time. Pharaohs were chief priests, builders and judges, expected to maintain the divine order and ensure Egypt's prosperity. Upon death, the king merged with Osiris, while his successor became the new Horus, continuing the cycle of divine rule. This sacred kingship was the living continuation of the creative acts of the gods. Egyptian temples were more than places of worship. They were models of the cosmos, designed to mirror the creation myths. Entering a temple symbolized moving from chaos to the sacred moment of creation, with architecture echoing the primordial mound. The innermost sanctuary, shrouded in darkness, represented the world's first dawn. Daily rituals by priests acting for the pharaoh reenacted creation and maintained Ma'at, nourishing the gods to keep the universe stable. Sacred lakes and purification rites recalled the primordial waters, renewing cosmic energy. Temples were engines of creation where human action supported the gods and upheld order. The myths lived on through these rituals, making cosmic balance a daily communal task. Creation myths shaped every aspect of Egyptian art, literature and funerary beliefs. Art's formal style aimed to capture the perfect order of Zep-Tepi, not mere reality. Hieroglyphs and funerary texts, like the Book of the Dead, guided souls through the afterlife, mirroring the sun god's journey. Symbols like the scarab, lotus and benben stone were constant reminders of creation and rebirth. These motifs appeared in everything from pyramids to amulets, reinforcing the promise of eternal order. The myths offered Egyptians a sense of purpose, connecting daily life to a divine plan. Their civilization became a living reflection of the cosmic drama first told in their creation stories. The Egyptian creation myths form a rich tapestry, each thread a unique vision of the universe's birth. From the chaos of Nu to the benben mound, from Atum's solitude to Ptah's intellect, each myth added depth to their worldview. This diversity reflected Egypt's adaptability and theological richness, not confusion. Natural cycles like the Nile's flood and the rising sun became cosmic metaphors, grounding myth in daily life. All myths told of emergence, land from water, order from chaos, life from void. Zep-Tepi, the first time, was a living reality, shaping kingship, temples and hopes for eternity. Egyptians didn't just believe in creation, they participated in it every day. At the heart of all creation myths was Ma'at, cosmic order, truth and justice. Ma'at was the universe's foundation, established at creation and defended against chaos. The pharaoh embodied Ma'at, and every Egyptian contributed by living justly and truthfully. Rituals, art and statecraft all reinforced this eternal struggle between order and chaos. Ma'at unified Egyptian civilization, offering comfort and purpose through a divinely ordered world. The myths taught that humans were partners with the gods in upholding creation. The legacy of Ma'at endures, a timeless hope for a world governed by truth and balance. Ultimately, when we strip away the specific names of the gods and the details of their narratives, the ancient Egyptian creation myths speak to a universal human quest. They are a powerful expression of our innate need to understand our origins, to find our place in a vast and often bewildering universe, and to seek meaning in our existence. The questions the Egyptians asked: where did we come from? Why is the world the way it is? What is our purpose? Are the same questions that every culture in every era has sought to answer. Their myths are one of humanity's earliest and most eloquent attempts to provide a comprehensive response. These stories remind us that for most of human history, mythology was the primary vehicle for scientific, philosophical, and theological inquiry. The Egyptians used narrative to explore complex ideas about cosmology, physics, and metaphysics. The concept of Nu was a way to talk about the state of the universe before the Big Bang. The separation of Geb and Nut was a metaphor for the formation of the atmosphere. The Memphite myth of creation by word explored the relationship between consciousness and reality. These were not primitive fairy tales, but sophisticated intellectual models, built from the tools of observation, metaphor, and imagination available at the time. The fascination these myths hold for us today goes beyond simple historical curiosity. They touch upon archetypal themes that are woven into the collective human psyche. The emergence from a watery abyss, the birth of light, the conflict between order and chaos, and the creation of humanity from a divine source. These powerful motifs reappear in different forms in creation stories from all over the world, suggesting a deep, shared structure in the way human beings imagine the dawn of time. Studying the Egyptian myths is, in a way, studying a foundational chapter in the story of human consciousness itself. Therefore, the legacy of these ancient stories is not confined to the ruins of temples or the papyrus scrolls in museums. It lives on in our own enduring quest for knowledge and understanding. The Egyptians looked at the world around them and saw a place of wonder, magic, and divine purpose, and they crafted stories that reflected that vision. Their myths are a profound gift from the past, an invitation to look at our own world with the same sense of awe and to continue asking the great questions. They remind us that the search for meaning is one of the oldest and most noble of all human endeavors.